G'day guys, welcome back again. This may possibly be the shortest video in the series. Here's why. As I said, I was going to go and trace out the feedback circuitry and the reference and that and work out why what appears to be the reference voltage is way too high. And I mentioned that the voltage control pot basically has a copy of the output voltage on it, which is hinting at me that it is basically part of a voltage divider for a reference voltage that the output is compared to. Anyway, I started tracing it back, and sure enough, it went back to the inputs of an op amp and something else, just like I thought it would. And then I went to see where the other side of it went to, and the other side of the pot went to the negative terminal on the output. And it was at that moment I spotted something. You see that? That is a 20 kilo ohm pot. Guess what the original is? 10 kilo ohm. If the reference voltage is derived from that pot and another resistor that comes from, say, a voltage coming out an op amp that's based off of an op amp with gain and a reference, then that goes into a resistive divider, and that's one half of the resistive divider. If that's doubled in value, that means the voltage would be exactly double. Now remember, the power supply, when I say power supply, I mean transformer, full bridge rectifier, the diodes. The output of that, it's 55 volts, 54 volts. So there's no way you can get 60 volts, which is double 30 on the output. But you could get 54. So I've got a very, very, very suspicious feeling. I got these. That's a 10K. Same linearity, same tolerance. V-shade spectral, Mexico. 10-turn pot. I got a funny feeling when we put that pot in there, the right side's only going to go up to 30 volts. So I'm going to go do that now. I know I sound really happy, and I'm probably being a bit cocky because it might not be the problem, but I've had a good look at the circuitry, and it does really appear that the voltage is basically derived from a reference that's adjusted by the pot. And like I said, if that pot is part of a resistive divider, which the fact the pot's only got 2 wires going to it, to 2 of its tags, that tells you that the pot itself doesn't have the reference across it, and they're taking it off the middle. That already tells you that there's another resistor somewhere else in the circuit that forms the resistive divider, and 2 terminals of the pot, say the bottom half, and the other top resistors the other half, and the midpoint's 1 terminal of the pot. The other bit goes to ground, the other end goes to your voltage. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think that's what's going on. And if that's what's going on and you double the value of that pot, like I said, the output would try and go to double the max voltage. And incidentally, that would also mean that the pot, how do I explain this, for half as many turns would go up twice as much volts. And guess what? That's exactly what this does. If you can compare turning the master pot up to the slave, the voltage goes up quicker for less turns, if that makes sense, on the slave side with the incorrect pot. So I think everything I've done so far is correct. I think we actually have completely restored this thing, and all I've got to do now is compensate the op amps, which, like I said from the get-go, I was going to have to do, because you can't just go and put wildly different op amps into a circuit and change the way they're powered and their references and expect it to be hassle-free, you know. So I was already expecting that from the get-go, and I'm happy for that. Like, I don't have a problem with that. The thing that was bugging me was after I had done everything, that I still had this high voltage problem on this side. And well, I'm going to go change this pot and come back, and I'll let you guys know how we go. But don't be surprised if it's fixed. And that's the end of this video, which will make it a short video. But I guess the next video is not going to be so short, because we've got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 opamps to, well, we don't know that we have to compensate them all, but we have to scope out the inputs and outputs and power rails of 8 different opamps. And they're dual supplies, so that means scoping between the center point and positive, the center point and negative, the center point and the 2 inverting and non-inverting inputs, possibly looking across the inputs, again from the center point rail to the output, and then doing that for 8 different op-amps. So that'll make a video, and then obviously the required R's and C's to compensate them. So that will take some time. That video will be a bit longer, but that will be the last thing to do to this power supply. Actually, I'm not going to lie, I'm trying to make up my mind on something. These. I'm not worried about these transistors. I've got the data sheets for them, and that they're pretty decent transistors for the job they're doing. The BC107s I'm thinking about replacing with BC550s. And these drivers for the outputs, I'm thinking about replacing them with a TO220 style transistor. I'm not saying it will be this, but for example, like a tip 41C or 42C or a BD139. I forget which one's NPN, but you know what I'm saying. I haven't even looked up data sheets on transistors yet, but I just think that this is overkill. And given that they have such a low gain, the engineers might have done this with the original design to help it not oscillate and stuff like that, you know. But with the way I'm redesigning it, I wouldn't mind putting some higher gain transistors that are smaller in there. And that also gives me a couple of nice old school 2N3055s that are most likely well matched to put in my collection too. So yeah, don't be surprised if 4 of the transistors get updated as well. And also I'm really tempted to add base resistors to the output transistors, series pass elements, because there's 2 on each channel in parallel. We have emitter resistors. I've gone from 0.6 ohm each to 0.47 ohm each. But due to the fact that one transistor sits on top of the other transistor, heat rises, the top one's going to run hotter. I wouldn't mind putting base resistors too, to really try and help them share the current between each other. You know, so the top one doesn't do more of the work. But yeah, I'm going to go away and do this pot now, come back, we'll see what happens, and yeah, let's see. Well, as I was just saying, hold on, let me turn the light on, that I was going to put my 10K pot in there that was supposed to be in there. I've done that. Guess what? Yep. Actually, it might be more than 10 turns. Oh no, yeah. Oh, wait. Wait. Yeah, they're both 10-turn pots. Well, there you go, guys. Auto tracking. And don't forget you can adjust the ratio. So if you wanted to say have one track at half the voltage, you can do that. Well, half would be there, but you'll get what I'm saying. Bloody beautiful. So, guess what? That's this video, guys. I'm sorry if it was short, but I had a feeling as soon as I started tracing out the feedback network and saw the 20k pot, I was like, tell you what, whoever carried out all the repairs over the years on this, I mean, they know a little bit about electronics, but I'm not going to say that they were competent. Anyways, that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. I'm going to get started. I'll just put the camera down for the last minute so that this doesn't annoy you guys. And move this beautiful thing into view. And I'll show you guys on the multimeter to the voltage is truly only going up to 30, 30.5, whatever. Anyway, as I was saying, see, 30.5. You can hear that stopping. So there you go. I've got a few things to point out. I want to know how they're deriving the voltage reference, or I've got some circuits to trace out in here, you know. I just want to make sure that the reference voltage on the pot's not just derived from the main power rail and a resistive divider, or if it is it just comparing the initial voltage to that and then using another op-amp to compare that to a reference. I want to see how it's done because I might actually upgrade that too. But I can tell you what we are going to do now is we're going to start on another video where I'm going to add base resistors to the output devices. I'm going to put TO220 style drivers in there, much more efficient drivers. And we're going to compensate the op-amps. Oh, and the BC107s that they're using to buffer these two references, I'm going to put BC550s in there. I had a look at the data sheets for the other transistors that are in there, and two of them I wouldn't mind changing. The little black guys, I wouldn't mind putting a better transistor in there, but the 2N2270s are actually quite nice, and for what they're doing in the circuit, they're just perfect. The black ones, yeah, I could put better transistors in there. They're not bad. I could just put better transistors in there. If I do end up having some on hand, I will do that too, but for now, that's the end of this video. Actually, you know what, just for everyone's curiosity, because I don't know either, now I've knocked out a lot of inductance in different paths. Let's just have a quick look and see if we still have that oscillation on the current side of things, because why not? Hey, look at that. It's not even oscillating. Wow. Yeah, it's gone. I told you knocking out inductance would help a lot. So, I'm sorry if I said that a bit cocky. I mean, sorry. I feel rude sometimes the way I talk. My apologies. I am a bit of a cocky prick. Something I've got to work on. But to be honest, there was so much inductance in wire-wound resistors. I am not surprised that getting rid of all those wire-wound resistors in the feedback network, power supply and emitter resistors, and especially the current shunts, I'm not surprised that that's got rid of the oscillation. But Just because I don't see it just under basically a short circuit load doesn't mean that there aren't still problems. So we're going to do testing with a load bank under different conditions, you know, some different inductive loads and stuff like that, like power switching power supplies, all sorts of stuff on it. I'll have to do some tests, and we're obviously going to have to look at the op amps with the scope and have a look and see if there's any noise or oscillations or ripple, anything present on any of the inputs or outputs. Other than that, it's basically job done. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm trying to build this channel up, and I'd really appreciate the help. Thanks everyone.